In the previous lecture, we have built a REST service with the name /welcome, and we made changes by adding Spring Security to our project. Now our /welcome is a protected API. So now in this lecture, I want to show one more feature of Spring Security which will make our life easy with the help of tokens and cookies that it is going to use internally. As you can see, I got a response, and if I try to refresh any number of times, it is not asking me the credentials and again. It will only ask me very first time whenever I start accessing through a new browser. And my Spring Security framework is smart enough to send a token to my UI or any application that I am invoking this REST service, and my browsers are even more smart to send that same value for every request that they are going to make subsequently. So with that token, I'm not forcing my user to enter his credentials again and again. So he can call any number of times, like any number of times I can refresh, it's not asking me the credentials. That's because with the power of token IDs that is used by Spring Security Framework in the backend. So in order to really show you how it's going to work, let me go to a Postman application. Here, I will select the HTTP method as GET because our welcome API supports GET. So now I'll try to access my welcome API, and this should fail the authentication. The reason is we are accessing through Postman very first time and there is no session before. So I'm just clicking send. You can see I got a response saying that 401 which is unauthorized. Now what I will do is I will go to the authorization tab and select basic auth. The username that I will give is easy bytes and the password is 12345. With these values, if I try to send the request to the welcome path, you can see now I successfully got welcome from Spring application with security response from the application that I have written. Now what I will do is I'll try to make another request by removing the authentication. So now I said there is no authentication I'm sending in the request, and if I try to click a send, it's still giving me a valid response without 404. And this is due to the power of a cookie present inside your header. Like you can see, there is a cookie with the name JSessionID, and this is the value generated by your backend Spring Boot application with the help of Spring Security very first time the user tried to log in. And we get the same from the server in the response, and you can see the same cookie 5D2 in the cookies of our response, which is being sent by my Postman every time I make a subsequent calls. So with this help of JSessionID, I'm getting a proper response without passing the credentials. To make it even more clear, what I will do is from the request, I'll remove this token, and now I don't have any authorization details and I don't have a cookie with the JSessionID in my request. If I try to make a request, I'll get a response saying that 401 unauthorized. And even in this scenario also, I'll get a cookie with different value, and this cookie in my backend is maintained as an unauthorized user. So if someone tried to access my application with this value, they will keep getting unauthorized. Like you can see now inside my headers, I have the cookie with the name 292. If I try to keep accessing with the same cookie, I'll keep getting the unauthorized. But the moment that I try to add my user details to my basic authentication, I'll try to invoke my API again, and you can see my cookie will change. So right now it is with 292. After making a request, now my JSessionID value changed to 746 so and so. And if I try to keep making the request with the same JSessionID 746, my backend will keep accepting even without credentials. Like I can show you by removing the authentication details from the request, and I keep sending and I'll get the same proper response without credentials. So that's the one more good feature supported by Spring Security Framework. Of course, JSessionID is the default one generated by Spring Security. You can even more optimize it to a production grade application by using JWT tokens, OAuth tokens that we'll be discussing a lot in the coming lectures. So hope this is very clear on how Spring Security Framework handles multiple requests without login and credentials. It will only ask very first time if the same session and the same user try to make another call, it won't ask the credentials, it's only expect a token ID. As long as it is valid, it will keep sending the proper response to the user. So thank you and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye.